is the biggest challenge that the Singapore tourism has faced in its 56-year history.
And for the Singaporeans, some of them I had to ask them to go on unpaid leaves, especially the drivers.
How will we enter? Is there going to be any change in the visa procedures?
The Prime Minister himself came into Sentosa. He met few tourists. Hi, welcome to the first panel discussion with the Singapore Tourism Board. I'm very happy to have Miss Lim Seating with us, and she is the Area Director of India and South Asia. Welcome, Seating. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Sriharan. Thanks for inviting us for this panel discussion. Happy to share some thoughts and also ignite some conversations with Shahul sir and also Saravana from Global. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. And we also have Sarah from Singapore. He is the founder of Global Travels. He is a very well-known face to all of us in India, not only India, to across the globe. So we are very happy to have Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Shri. Yeah, thank you for having us, especially with Seating and Shahul sir. We look forward to share more insights.
Perfect, right. And finally, we have our chairman of the Travel Agents Association of India, Southern Region, Mr. Shahul Hamid sir. Hi, sir. Thank you so much for giving us this time. Hi, sir.
Vanakkam and welcome to the panel discussion. I welcome Sitting, Mr. Sarah, and thanks for Sierra to arranging this kind of discussion.
Perfect. So in this panel discussion, we are going to see what Singapore is doing and what it has been doing, what it is going to do. So initially, I would like to start with Seating. So I have few questions for Seating. So Seating, first is, how has this coronavirus pandemic impacted tourism board, both campaign plans and everything? How has it impacted?
Thanks, Sriharan. I think we all understand that this COVID-19 outbreak has caused many disruptions, right? It has brought about unprecedented uncertainty into economies around the world. And I think it's not just a problem that's restricted to just, say, a national tourism organization. It's impacted the entire industry, economies, whether it's tourism, whether it's the financial side of things. I think it has caused quite a large impact. In fact, I think if we look at it, this is the biggest challenge that the Singapore tourism has faced in its 56-year history. And I think it will take some time for us to kind of navigate through this particular challenge. But I think right now the key priority for us is to make sure that we're staying safe at home and acceding to the government's measures to try and contain the virus and reduce the risk of imported cases. So since the start of COVID-19, I think many governments have stepped up in terms of trying to introduce measures to contain the virus in each of the countries. I think Singapore is no exception. We have progressively implemented many measures, whether it is to reduce the risk of imported cases or to contain the spread of virus, the local transmitted cases. I think we are managing that, and we're seeing quite good progress, which is why I think by 1st June, the circuit breaker will end in Singapore, and we will see progressive opening up of businesses in phases after that. So I think while we are all staying at home, making sure that we're keeping safe, I think what's important for us is to continue engaging with the consumers, which is why I think for STB we have not stopped searching for new ways and innovative ways to connect with our consumers. So for example, I think STB has launched a 6-part edutainment series, videos with Singapore talents on how to do certain fun activities at home. So for example, we have got a mixologist called Vijay Mudalia. He's from Native Bar, so he teaches you how to make certain mocktails and cocktails at home. We also have some of our talents, like Tan Tzu Si. She's an artist, so she'll teach you how to kind of make certain crafts at home. So these are some of the things that we're trying to push out to engage with the audience. I think this weekend, 29th to 31st May, we have a super exciting project as well. We have partnered Zook to bring across virtual parties to people all around the world.
Wow, this is amazing. This is interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we are trying to push out all these innovative ways. So there is a registration link where people can actually log on and they can view the parties live. So we have international acts coming in, we have local acts coming in, people to kind of party at home in a safe environment, but making sure that they engage and Singapore remains top of mind. I think for India audience as well, we have also partnered with Zomato. So Zomato has this series of food event carnival called Zomaland at Home that they are embarking as a form of digital initiative. So previously we have partnered with them and we've gone through 9 cities around in India, having the physical setup of our Singapore tourism board booth, right? To provide Michelin star hawkers and all that. But this time around, we're doing it a little bit differently. I think we are trying to connect with the Indian audience that way. So look forward to having all of our Indian audience tune in to Zomaland at Home. It will happen the first 2 weekends of June. So it kind of coincides with most of the lifting of lockdown restrictions.
Very true, very true. We're all looking forward to it. You sound so interesting because all this time, all the panel discussion, we were little hearing informations, but this party has actually got us now on board now. We're all pepped up listening to what is going to happen in Singapore now. So talking about the government, I think Singapore government has always been focusing on tourism a lot. And I still remember the initial stages of the pandemic, when the pandemic started. The Prime Minister himself came into Sentosa. He met few tourists and all. The government is helping a lot in terms of tourism. But I want to know, what has the government done for the DMCs and the hoteliers? Have they given any kind of preferences, or what has been the government doing?
I think till date, the government has kind of dedicated close to 100 billion budget, to support Singaporeans in this fight against COVID-19. I think especially for the tourism industry, which is one of the hardest hit industries in Singapore, I think the government is also setting aside certain budgets for that. So I think as a first start, as part of the first measure, we have already waived off license fees for hotels, travel agents, as well as tourist guides. I think moving on, there have been 4 budgets that were announced. I think Sarah will be familiar as well. We have introduced several budgets and measures to help support the industry. So, for example, some of all these measures would include, say, property tax waivers, wage support, meaning the government is supporting up to 75% of wages, so that we can protect, the jobs as well as the workers' livelihoods. So I think for us, 90 million has been set aside for marketing post-recovery. So as you can see that we are putting in quite huge investments to make sure that once the situation has stabilized, we are putting in the necessary efforts. I think for hotels and DMCs, we are also looking at ways to help them. So for example, we have also launched a 20 million Singapore dollars marketing partnership program. So this marketing partnership program serves to help support some of the marketing costs, some of the boosters that the businesses have come up with to value add to our visitors. So these are ways in which we're trying to help the industry and make sure that we are on the track for recovery. I think additionally, we have also rolled out several new initiatives. So for example, we have the Tourism Recovery Action Task Force set up. So it is a task force set up to look into how we can implement and develop certain strategies to aid the tourism industry and to make sure that we continue to leverage each other's strengths as well as resources. Because I think what COVID has taught us is we have to lean on each other, right? And try to leverage on one another to make sure that we come out of this strong, and we know how to make sure that we get the industry to come together to make sure that we face this COVID-19 situation strongly together. Yeah.
Together, definitely. Oh, it sounds so positive, and the numbers that you're saying is huge. 100 billions or 19 million or 20 million Singapore dollars is actually very huge. So I would like to ask Sarah one thing. So Sarah is one of the biggest DMCs, and he's been very sound. And one thing I know about Sarah is he's very positive. All I could say is he's been very positive throughout the lockdown. But Sarah, I want to ask you a few questions. The first thing is, when did you really understand the pinch of this pandemic? When did it hit you?
Okay, for me, actually, I was quite lucky, I would say. During the second week of January itself, I actually got to know the seriousness of it. And I was actually preaching everybody, my family and all that, this virus is going to hit us bad. And especially tourism sector is going to badly hit, right? So from there itself, I actually started to take action. And then came the phone calls from the travel agents, checking, hey, there's this virus going on. Are other travel agents cancelling any tours? are they postponing, especially Lions Club, right? We had a major event in June,
June.
right? Yeah, we ourselves, we had about 14 groups, and
Okay.
yeah, it got cancelled.
Oh my
So,
God.
so during the start of February, actually, we started to receive cancellations.
Okay.
Cancellations after cancellations, and then even in between, even STB, they were very proactive. STB being very proactive, they actually sent out campaigns, messages constantly to the travel trade in India,
Okay.
trying to sell,
Correct.
it's still supportive and all that. But then things went overboard, and cancellations came, and now we have zero bookings.
But definitely, I think this state is across the world. I think Singapore was the very first country to experience, but it's across the world the same thing. So I want to understand from an employer's perspective or an employee's perspective, because people are losing jobs. People have lost jobs already. And
Right.
how is the situation? How are people taking it? Are they looking
Okay.
for alternative businesses, or what is happening?
Yeah, we at Global, we ourselves, we have an alternate business. We just
Okay.
started it up, e-commerce business. But
Okay.
again, for the team, I couldn't keep everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the foreign, like since I got to know about it earlier, I actually sent some of them back to India,
Okay.
because I know that
Okay.
even if there's a lockdown, they're not going to sustain yet. They won't have funds. So
Very
I
true.
prepared. I sent them back, and
Okay.
for the Singaporeans, some of them I had to ask them to go on unpaid leaves, especially the
Oh.
drivers, because we
Yeah.
could not
Right.
run.
Very
Yeah,
true. Very true.
so
Very
it
true.
was
So
devastating for us. It was very
okay.
painful, especially to
Yeah.
let go all the superheroes in our companies. It was
Very true.
very devastating, and now they have already started to move on. They are already looking for other jobs.
Okay, okay. So hopefully, because I think Singapore tourism being very positive and they're coming up with marketing campaigns, definitely when the lockdown opens, because I could see a different places. Even in Dubai, I think today there are 3 amusement parks that's open. The aquarium is getting opened and all.
Right.
So I think the lockdown will start and the airports coming up with a lot of restrictions. I think tourism will start slowly. But I want to ask Seating one thing. Singapore is a small country because as an Indian, as India is a huge country, we have so much space for social distancing or queues or anything. What is Singapore planning to do? Because it's a small country, too much of crowd usually. How is social distancing going to be maintained, or you have any plans for that?
I think for us, we are trying to, being a very small country, right? We can't be getting, enforcement officers around the country to kind of monitor this. We are trying to leverage technology. So I think for us, we are trying to make sure that I think before even COVID kind of broke, we have already started looking at safe distance measures. So I think if you go to any establishment, essentially in Singapore, you will see that there are markings on the floors to make sure that people are keeping that safe distance. We have also utilized different applications, right, for people to monitor where they have been and all that. So there is this app called Safe Entry where you actually have to scan a QR code to enter any venues. So this will help us in the contact tracing portion as well. We have also another app called Trace Together. Uses Bluetooth technology to make sure that there is safe distancing between two people.
Two people. Okay.
There is also another interesting part where we're actually piloting this robot dogs. Actually, a robot dog that's been used in parks, gardens, to help to maintain that safe distancing between people. So I think these are some of the measures that we're trying to do, and we're trying to leverage technology on that front to make sure that for this particular safe distancing measures, it will work even though we're not physically there. So we are trying to ensure, while we are a small country, we are trying to ensure that all these safety measures are in place, because for the establishments, if they don't keep up with the safe distance measures, they will be facing heavy penalties as well. So these are some of the ways that we're trying to assure and reassure our visitors that Singapore remains safe, and we are putting ourselves on a very high benchmark of public health as well. Temperature screenings are all in place. So all that has been put in place since we got to know about COVID-19. So I think that's a good way for us to reach out and to make sure that we communicate this effectively to our consumers and to our visitors that, hey, Singapore is stepping up on this, and we will remain safe as a destination.
Okay, great, great. It's almost like a Hollywood movie what you're talking. Robot dogs and all. It's like we wish to see that. Actually, there would be a tourism to come to see what Singapore has done with COVID. With COVID-19, that itself is going to be something that's new. But Sarah, I want to ask you one more thing. Social distancing in transportation. Have you people discussed about how this is going to be, or what are you planning with transportation?
Okay, I have indeed spoken to a few transporter, the one we are using particularly, right? They, because in a bus where 40 of them seats, if you're going to seat 20 of them, it's not going to be viable or profitable for the transport operator. So either one is they're going to increase the fares for
Okay.
especially SIC,
Hmm.
or what I foresee, initial 3 to 4 months after the borders are open, most of the clients will be choosing or selecting private transfers.
Private transfers.
Yeah,
Very
because
true.
they are worried. Even myself, if I'm going to travel, I'll be choosing the private transfers.
Private transfers.
Right.
Very true.
So these two options: either you pay higher for SIC or you opt in for private.
So when you say pay higher, I think almost it will be equivalent to private.
1.5.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not that much difference between. No. So anyway, so when it comes to public transportation seating, public transportation for tourists, any idea? Have you come up with something for that?
Yeah, so I think for us, public transportations, whether it's for tourists or whether it's for for Singaporeans and residents, I think we have also put in place safe distancing measures, right? So I think we have continued to say for those of you, for those of the people who are still going out and all that, they're still supposed to wear masks to make sure that no limit the interaction between people, to make sure that we still try to contain any possible transmission. I think in terms of the public transportation and all that, and as we know, under this circuit breaker, and subsequently when we are reopening in phases, we are trying to make sure that there will not be, first of all, crowds, right? So I think without crowds, we have a higher chance of trying to maintain the social distancing, and we're still going into work from home arrangements for many businesses to make sure that we don't overcrowd the system, and we make sure that it's still the businesses and economy is still reopening up in a very calibrated manner.
Perfect, good. So now my chairman has a sequence of questions to ask. So I give it over to my chairman, Shahul sir.
My question to Sitting, and when are you planning to open your country for us? You're starving.
I think that's $1 million question that I probably won't be able to answer right now. I think for us, we have never stopped welcoming visitors. Just that for COVID-19 is done in a different approach, right? I think we have done all the virtual tours and all the digital activations and all that. We still continue trying to make sure that visitors stay interested and have Singapore on top of their minds. I think for us, we are looking at a very calibrated risk-based manner of reopening up and lifting border controls. I think for us, first and foremost, we have to make sure that the country is ready before we even open up. And I think that's not just for the safety of Singaporeans and residents. We're also concerned about the risk of imported cases once we open up borders and all that, and we have maybe say.
So you have a base experience of SARS. After 2003, you had 5-month breakup on those days. And after that, this seems to be the longest one after SARS. And you should have learned the lessons of SARS, and you should have regrouped right now, right?
Yeah, so, I think definitely SARS has given us some good learning points, and I think the country is more or less prepared in that sense, that it's not going to recover that fast.
See, what we are looking at is that the product-wise, we don't have complaints about Singapore. It's always dynamic. So nothing but to worry about it. It attracts even the primitive traveler, the virgin traveler, and the mature traveler. That's not an issue. Point is that in today's scenario, we want the clarity of the standard operating procedure, SOPs. There should be transparent SOPs so that, and literatures and videos about that, so that it will be increasing. Have you planned on that angle?
I think good question, Shahul sir. I was going to touch on this point as well. I think we have launched a nationwide SG Clean campaign, which means Singapore Clean campaign. So what happens is tourism establishments will have certain guidelines in terms of how they're cleaning, the frequency of cleaning, to make sure that at the end of it, they will get a certification to say that, hey, this is certified Singapore Clean. Whether it's our attractions, whether it's our hotels, whether it's the dining restaurants and all that. I think we are implementing this. Till date, we have about 9,000 establishments certified SG Clean. I think moving on as a sign of the government's commitment to public health, we are waiving all fees to make sure that all these establishments continue to keep up with that. we are looking at about 32,000 premises being certified SG Clean. So this will give the reassurance to our visitors that, hey, if I go to Singapore, I can be assured that with this SG Clean mark, there will be standards of cleanliness and sanitation that's being maintained. Then I think for us, it's about communicating to the trade about this particular campaign as well. So we have developed a deck of slides, which we are sharing progressively. So I think through all the various product update sessions, through all the interactions that we're having with our trade partners, through all the webinars that we're having, we are trying to put in all this information as well to communicate both to the trade as well as the end consumers.
COVID-19, the negative becomes a new positive here. See, there is an inverse relationship. COVID negative is new positive, and there's a change in order right now. Whatever was there's an inverse relationship. See, where there's a crowd right now, there should not be no crowd. So everything goes to be going to be costly. So how are you going to prepare and build it as a presentable to our Indian population? Because India is full of virgin travelers. Virgin thing. I hope. I think it is very clearly meaning to you. It's a new players, new travelers will make a crowd because Singapore seems to be very attractive to the new people, because anything if they want to go to London, they have to go to Singapore and learn things. That's how it should be. So to be an international experience. So in that sense, how are you going to bridge it? Because this is going to be costing us for the government, and everywhere it's going to be increasing the cost. How are you going to be matching the target clients?
I think for us, we are looking at various fronts, right? I think cost is one thing. We're also looking at value-added experiences, and I think for Singapore we have that to offer because I think we're constantly trying to reinvent ourselves. As a small country, we can't be building.
That's what. That's a correct word.
I think we're coming up with products. So based on our brand destination, Passion Made Possible, we do have different passion tribes that we're looking at. Whether it's a foodie, if you're into food, or whether you're a collector who loves shopping. I think we have different products for all these different various passion tribes. We also have developed certain tours that are catered to these passion tribes as well. So all these are some of the things that we're trying to constantly look at to make sure that Singapore remains as an attractive destination, not just for first-time travelers, but also for repeat travelers. So when they come to Singapore again, they will continue to see Singapore in a different light.
How will we enter? Is there going to be any change in the visa procedures? It's going to be a little tough, or it's going to be safe procedures, or are they going for more documentations like health and things like that?
For us, the challenge is trying to monitor the global situation as well to see how it pans out before we kind of put in place certain measures. I think for Singapore from 2nd June onwards, transit passengers can go through Singapore.
Okay, good.
So I think for that, before they do that transit, be made a transit facility, they need to fill up a health declaration form on the e-arrival card. So that's one, to make sure that we have documentation of their travel history, any symptoms and all that. So we're doing that as a first step. Of course, the temperature screenings at the airports are still going to be in place. I think secondly, we're also looking at making sure that even for the transit passengers, they are being kept safe. In an environment where they can't be going out yet. Because right now we have yet lifted border controls. While Singaporeans and the permanent residents can still come into Singapore, short-term visitors are still not allowed as of now. So I think we are looking at all these situations and monitoring the global, situation as well to make sure that we have whatever measures that we are putting in place will be safe for everyone who are coming in.
Perfect. So Sarah, I have a question for you. Not a question. I think, in fact, an advice to all of us tour operators. Are you people ready to start work with us?
Really, we have been waiting for last 3 months actually, but we just have to wait for this COVID to,
Definitely.
leave. Right. But I do hope. I think by Deepavali, what I see is by Deepavali we will start to see small FITs coming in, and I think hopefully by next year March the travel boom happens.
Definitely, definitely. Even I hope, because I all wonder, one day I wake up and everything vanishes and we start business immediately. So
Ah,
I,
yeah.
so I wish something like that happens. So anyway, thank you so much. I thank you so much, Seething. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Rahul, sir, for joining in. I think this was very useful for all of us and the people who are watching this also. So definitely, thank you so much for your time. It was really good, and all the best, Seething, for your webinars that's going to happen sequence. And we are hoping to hear a lot of good news from you. We're waiting to work with Singapore Tourism Board
Sure.
shortly. So thank you so much for that. And Sarah, wait, we are ready to start our bookings once
Yeah.
the SDB says yes. So
Okay.
we are all set.
Sarah, you are wrong.
Yeah, my laptop
Sarah,
is
you are wrong.
every
The
night.
day one you operate, you will have more business.
Sure, sir.
You will have more business. We are waiting. We are starving, actually
Yeah.
speaking.
Actually, I would like to add on something, sir. Actually,
Yes,
I
please.
have to give it, not because sitting is here, I have to give it to Singapore Tourism Board. They've been very proactive. Even recently, we did a webinar series. When we asked them, can you come and do an opening note and all, they were like, okay, let's do it. They came and do the opening note. They're updating us. We have a WhatsApp group with almost about 7 STB members inside.
Okay.
No, this proactive. That's why you can never see any DMC complain about our tourism board. Right? We are in safe hands. So yeah, that's why I have to give it to them. Thank you, Sitting and team again.
Yeah.
And,
Thanks,
You have-
and also maybe if I can add a word here as well.
Yes.
Just want to put out a word there to all our tourism stakeholders, right? Whether it's our Indian agents or whether it's our Singapore DMCs and stakeholders. I think we have to remain positive. I think the important thing for us is STB will continue to support all of you in this pandemic situation. I know that it's challenging times. I think the role for STB here is to make sure that we look at the broad strokes of everything and making sure that we are there to help to facilitate some of the conversations, some of the marketing campaigns, to make sure that, when recovery is here, we are all prepared. So I think that that's something that we're trying to do. And we're also doing also inviting, partners to feel free to approach STB to work with us. Because I think we are here, first and foremost, as an NTO to help support both our India market as well as the Singapore market. Because I think tourism to us is an important contributor to the economy as well. I think we acknowledge that. So let's stay strong. I'm very sure and confident that we will bounce back strongly if we
Yes.
band together and we make sure that we work together as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Seething. Thank you so much, Seething. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Shahul sir, for coming, for giving your time. So it was so nice to have all of you. We'll all stay positive and we hope we all meet soon in a business conference area. We talk about business now. So shortly. Okay. Perfect. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.